all of you. Um, it's a little chilly here today, so I have my robe in my lap and I have my heater on. So if you hear it, that's what it is. Um, I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but when I have like cold, kind of like yucky days, like today, I just want to cozy up and um, just be cozy, right? Like just have comforting things around me. And if you guys are here, send me a little wave. I'll wave back to you. Send me little hearts here. Um, and honestly, I feel like I don't know what's going on. Today is Friday the 13th, right? And people keep saying, oh my gosh, it's Friday the 13th in 2020. And you know what? I'm feeling it. I just feel like the audacity of people is beyond right now. But I am not here to talk to you all about that. What I actually wanted to talk to you all about was what's really missing from your photography portfolio. Um, because I feel like so many of us, we work so hard. We take the posing courses. We set up our business. We do all these different things um, to make it so that we feel like we should be able to deliver a final product. And yet, when we deliver a final product, we're still not proud of it. Some of you are saying that you feel the same way regarding Friday the 13th. Yeah, it just is going on right now. But I want to talk about this final product, right? So, with the final product, we have like this big, beautiful dream and aspiration, and we have invested into that final product, right? So, we've bought all of the precious gear and expensive gear. We've invested in the software that we need to invest in. We have invested in the posing courses, the editing courses, all of that kind of stuff as well. And then at the end, our images still fall flat. So they're like technically correct, but we're still not loving them. And when we're not loving them, there's that level of confidence there that is lacking, right? And we're also then wondering, like, are we really doing this right? What are we doing wrong here? Like, what's going on? And so it's just one of those things where there's something lacking and we know it, right? We know that it's lacking. And a lot of the time we will try to fill in this lacking gap of what we think we're missing with new gear, with new courses, with new coaches, right? And that's actually not what's missing. What's missing is a piece of client connection. And because really, when you think about the way that you handle your clients, actually, I have to turn off this heater, I'm too hot. When you think about your client experience and you think about the clients that reach out to you, the only way that they're going to feel comfortable in front of your camera is if they feel comfortable with you. And that comfort actually needs to start even before you get to the session, before you get to the wedding. So there are I wrote down 4 key things here that I want you guys to think about when you are creating and crafting client relationships and creating and crafting your client experience in general. Number 1 is trust. You have to instill trust in them before you even get to the session. Before you even get to the wedding, you have to instill a level of trust in them that you know what you're doing and you are going to take good care of them. Really. And how do you do that, right? Like you're probably like, how do I do that? Like I need to get them in front of my camera to establish trust with them. I need to get them in front of my camera for them to really know and understand how I shoot and what I'm doing. It is separate from shooting. It becomes a part of the relationship, but it is separate from shooting. So you have to preempt what they're thinking about. One of the biggest and best tools I can teach you is thinking, like preempting what a client is thinking about the week of their session, the week of their wedding, right? Or preempting what they're thinking about the night before their wedding, right? Should you be sending them an email that says, hey, I can't wait to see you tomorrow. Here's my number in case you need to get in touch with me. Should you be sending something the week of the session if you notice that it's rainy outside like it is today? You know that your people are checking the weather. You should also be checking the weather. And I'm sure that you are, but you have to communicate that, right? So we are not mind readers for our clients, even though we can try our best to be, but they're not mind readers for you either. And because you're so new to them, they won't know what to expect from you. So it is a really good idea for if you're checking the weather the week before the session and you're noticing that rain is in the forecast, for you to reach out to them and be like, hey, I'm sure you're checking the weather just as much as I am. Here are the options if the weather seems to be iffy that particular day. So preempt what they're thinking about. Preempt the need that they may feel to reach out to you. You should be the first to reach out. If you want to wait until Wednesday, do it on Monday instead, right? You need to instill that level of trust in them that you know what you're doing. You don't want to make them chase you. If you are a professional and you're positioning yourself as a professional, you should have client portals set up, contracts set up, invoices set up pretty much automatically, right? And these things need to be automatic to, again, instill that level of trust. Somebody should not be having to chase you to sign a contract. Somebody should not be having to chase you for their final product. Somebody should not be having to chase you for your invoice. You want to be paid, right? And they want to pay you. So this is another layer of instilling trust. You need to make it easy for them from the start. You need to make it easy for them to trust you, right? So then by the time they get to the session, you're not going to be in a situation where the client doesn't know what to expect, where the client doesn't know what they think. Like, for example, let me actually put an example around this. I'm sure there have been some of us who have gotten to a session and it has seemed like we have not been given the opportunity to direct the session. The client has shown up, and because we have not instilled a level of trust in them, they do not trust us, and so they start to direct the session, right? I do believe that there should be an element of collaboration every session, every wedding, absolutely. But if your client is showing up expecting to direct the session in its entirety, there has been a lapse in an opportunity to create trust. That's what's actually happening there. The second thing that will help you with your images is a level of connection, right? And connection happens intentionally. Connection has to be intentional with your clients. It can't be like, okay, cool, they signed my contract, cool, they paid my invoice, I'm not going to reach out to them again until the week of their wedding. No way. You have to create a level of connection with them so that by the time you get to their wedding or their session, they know what to expect from you as a person and as a human being and as a connected and supportive individual, right? You have to love them, affirm them, send them gifts, welcome gifts, parting gifts in between. Be intentional about reaching out to them. Send them emails once in a while, send them texts once in a while, send them DMs once in a while. When they're top of mind, don't let them fall out of top of mind for you. Send them a little message and be consistent with your connection, right? And that doesn't mean you have to set a schedule of when you're connecting with people, but it does mean that you have to be intentional, you know? There needs to be a level of commitment here, and with commitment comes connection, right? So they're committed to you, they're committed to paying you, they're committed to having you photograph their events, but you also need to be committed to them as a person, you know, especially if you want a beautiful final image. If you want beautiful final products, you need to show up with more than just good gear. You need to show up with more than just good editing, right? You need to show up with a servant's heart, and you need to show up in a supportive way, and you need to have already established levels of trust for them so they know what to expect from you as a person over and above what you can provide to them in images, right? And then the third thing that I wrote down was empathy. There needs to be a level of empathy with your clients, especially at this point in time. I can't tell you how many times a client has shown up a couple minutes late to a session and it has been fine, right? What am I doing? Where am I going? You know? And so they show up and they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. We hit traffic. Our kid, you know, did something crazy as we were running out the door, etc., etc. These are all normal human things. And so there needs to be an element of beyond the business, right? Because so many of us are like, well, you know, if they're late, I'm going to charge them a late fee. If they're late, I'm going to do XYZ. If they're late, I'm going to leave, right? And of course, there has to be boundaries around that. But if your people are like 10 minutes late, did you die? Did you die? So there needs to be a level of empathy there for your clients as well. You know, when they show up and they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. We got stuck here. This happened to us here. All you have to do is say, you know what, I get it. It happens. No big deal. We'll do our best to still get what we can here today. No big deal, right? You have to listen to them. Listen to what they're saying. listen to what they're telling you through any sorts of channels of communication, right? Whether it's when they show up at the session themselves, like the session itself, or if it is through texting, through DM, through email. What are some things that are concerning them? What are they nervous about for their wedding? There's usually something behind a nervous feeling or an anxious feeling for somebody that they're not necessarily able to communicate and may not even be able to identify themselves. But if they're telling you one thing, I would challenge you to look back and try to see behind what they're actually saying and see how you can support them in that way and in that nervousness. See if you can speak to that, right? So like when a client says to you, I'm so nervous, it's going to rain on my wedding day. How can you reframe that for them? How can you reframe that as number one, empathetic, and number two, how can they trust you throughout this weird situation, this unforeseen situation of the rain, right? There are ways that you can take care of the rain. You guys saw recently I did an engagement session in the rain. We were fine. Things were fine. And so a lot of the time when you reflect or when you create a level of confidence and trust, they will reflect that back to you. So if it rains, you got to make it work, right? Their images will be just as beautiful as they would be if they were sunny. It will be a different type of image, but very beautiful. Still very beautiful, right? So you have to build trust, build connection, have empathy, and especially now with the pandemic, looking at your clients' Instagram stories and seeing what they're sharing. Are they sharing that they're quarantined and they're missing their people? Are they sharing that they're stressed at work? And just sending something minor like, hey, thinking of you, or just a little hearts emoji goes a long way. And so as you're going through this journey with your clients of trust, connection, and empathy, it will then move forward into the images that you create. Because you've instilled trust in them, they trust you. Because you've connected with them, they feel connected with you, right? So these are all things that you have to do first. This is not up to your clients to connect with you. This is not up to your clients to just automatically have trust in you. These are things you need to build, and these are things that will impact your final product. And then the last thing I have here is flexibility. And I kind of alluded to this earlier, but you have to be flexible with people. A lot of the time we want people to be flexible with us. We want the grace. We want people to understand where we're coming from. And I have seen that a lot in the wedding industry. But I think we need to know that people's weddings are not about us. Do they benefit our portfolio? Yes. Are we better for them often? Yes. But people's weddings are not about us, right? Our job is to show up, support, and take good care and provide a beautiful final product. But we cannot create a beautiful final product if we're not building trust, connection, empathy, and we're not ensuring flexibility. And so we need to be flexible too. If somebody says to me, hey, I have this idea, would you mind if we did it? Absolutely. Be collaborative with your people. Give them options for communicating with you. So many people are so nervous to come and ask, hey, I have a session coming up. Can I bring more than one outfit? Of course, that is fine. Not a big deal, right? And you can put framework around that of most people usually bring 2 to 3 outfits. And this is what this amount of time will usually cover for you regarding outfits. So you can put that in there as well to just give them an expectation, right? You have to communicate expectations. But there's also a piece here too where we don't need to be so rigid in our businesses. And sometimes we are so rigid, right? And again, a lot of these things are things that we want people to bring back to us: trust, connection, empathy, flexibility. But we're not willing to offer it because we're like the big bad business owner. Oh my gosh, we're so amazing. We're doing XYZ. And are you amazing? Yes. Absolutely, you're amazing, right? I think any entrepreneur is incredible. It takes a tremendous amount of bravery to become an entrepreneur, right? But when you are in a service-based business, we need to remember that we are supportive first. We are people first. We are serving people first. And so it's really important to keep these things in mind, and if you haven't, built trust into your process, if if you're making your clients chase you to make their payments, that's not a trust building situation, right? If you haven't built in connection into your business, if you are just waiting to, if somebody signs your contract and you're not actually going to see them again until the day of the wedding, and you're not building connection with them between those several months, then what do you expect? Right? You have to build an empathy. You have to listen. Listening is a core skill as an entrepreneur, especially in the wedding industry. And you have to listen, and sometimes it's normal to get a little annoyed about certain things, right? But take a step back. Before you respond to people and be like, well, no, I can't do this, da 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 da, try to take a step back and think, oh, why am I so resistant to this? Can I actually do this? Is this actually okay? Do I actually feel fine about this and I'm just having a bad day? Right? It doesn't always have to be so business based. It doesn't have to always be so cold. You're allowed to be a very human business owner and to bring your human strengths and talents to your business and to your people, and that's actually what they're craving, and that's actually what will get them to book you, right? And then you have to have that level of flexibility as well. Be open, don't be all business, be willing to collaborate. Your images are not about you, right? And so if you can build in these core things of trust, connection, empathy, and flexibility for your clients, your end images, your end product will be elevated, because people will feel comfortable in front of your camera before you even get there. These are all things you need to do in your business before you even show up at a session, before you even show up at a wedding. You have to build these things in, and you have to allow sometimes your human side to lead here instead of just, what do my books dictate? What do my notes dictate? What does this course dictate? Right? This is not a corporate business. This is a service-based entrepreneurship, and you get to decide how you run it because it's yours. And that is what will really impact your end product. And I know it sounds strange, but I would really challenge you to try to do it. If you know that you have to tie up a few things in sending out invoices and creating contracts and making that a little more automated, try it, put it in place as soon as possible. Try it for a few months and then see how much better people show up to their sessions with you. I've had people tell me that they've worked with other people after working with me, and it's been a different experience and not a bad experience, but because they were used to the level of service they had with me, they were surprised at the level of service they had with another person, right? And that's not necessarily, saying bad things about the other person, but you want to be the standout here, right? You want to be the standout and the standard. This is what keeps people coming back. This is what creates repeat clients. This is what creates referrals. And this is also what creates a beautiful end product, because people already trust you. They already feel connected with you. They already feel a sense of allegiance with you because you've been empathetic with them. And when you tell them, you know what, these photos are for you, let's do whatever you want, there's nothing wrong with that either, right? And that will create a level of service and a level of happiness and joy, and not such a nervous feeling in front of the camera, because they know that you already have their best interest in mind. And if you have their best interest in mind before you even get to the session, why wouldn't you have their best interest in mind during? So that's everything I wanted to share with you all. You know what? I don't think I actually introduced myself at the beginning. I'm Erica. I am a wedding photographer in the Hudson Valley. I'm also a coach, and I work with ambitious and busy female wedding photographers to craft their business framework and call in dream clients. And so this is part of what I teach them, is really learning and taking good care of your clients. Your clients should be your people. Not only are they your bread and butter, but your people, right? Your community, your sacred space, right? And so if you guys ever have any questions, feel free to shoot me a DM. If this was really helpful for you, let me know in the comments. And otherwise, I will see you all soon. Have a great day.